welcome back to The Deep Dive. Okay, if you thought the lore of some other big franchises was complicated, well, strap in. Today, we're attempting something ambitious. We're charting the sprawling, glorious, and sometimes, intentionally contradictory worlds of the Digimon Multiverse. This isn't just one timeline. Think of it more like a rich tapestry, woven across dozens of parallel worlds, each with its own rules, its own gods, even its own creation myths.
That's really the first thing you have to grasp for this deep dive. It's the foundational prerequisite, basically.
Yeah.
The Digimon franchise isn't one single continuous story.
Right.
Each major anime series, Adventure, Tamers, Frontier, Savers, they occupy their own distinct self-contained universe.
Completely separate.
Pretty much. Unique histories, unique cosmological rules, and sometimes physics that just plain don't work together if you try and mash them into one timeline.
Okay, so our mission today, for you listening, is to give you the complete shortcut. We want to help you navigate these parallel worlds, understand the gods in the machine, as it were, and grasp the core myths without, drowning in decades of canon.
And honestly, that multiversal structure, it's actually kind of brilliant from a design perspective.
So?
Well, it gives the creators immense freedom. They can experiment. And crucially, it lets them reconcile things that would otherwise be, massive contradictions, like having 3 or 4 completely different explanations for where the digital world even came from.
That makes sense. It avoids the whole canon conflict headache, and you see that meta-narrative idea really clearly in Digimon Tamers.
Right, absolutely. That's the perfect example. In the Tamers reality, the entire saga of Digimon Adventure Tai, Matt, Agumon, Gabumon, saving the world, all of that.
Yeah.
It exists only as a really popular TV show and a hit trading card game within their universe.
So the kids in Tamers literally watched Adventure on TV.
Exactly. It's like the ultimate narrative firewall. It tells you, the viewer, straight up, don't even try putting these stories in the same chronological box. They're separate thought experiments, really, all exploring that core theme, the relationship between humans and digital life.
Okay, got it. So if the universes are distinct, we can't just start with a single timeline from year 0. We need to establish the common ground first, the echoes across realities.
Precisely. We need to look at the foundational myths, the primordial epochs, the ideas that resonate even if the details change. So let's start at the very beginning, or rather the many beginnings, because even the genesis of the digital world itself is, up for debate.
Right, because it changes depending on the series theme.
Exactly. The origin story is tailored. We can basically break down the main ones into about 4 distinct, pretty powerful concepts.
Okay, let's tackle the first one, the adventure continuity, which feels like the main one to many people. Where did their digital world come from?
So in the adventure canon, and this is important, the world didn't just pop out of a computer program in the conventional sense. No, it's described as emerging from something called the quantum sea.
The quantum sea. Okay, what is that?
Think of it as this primordial, chaotic space of pure potential, like reality before anything was defined. Very abstract.
That sounds less like sci-fi and more like or fantasy.
It absolutely leans that way. The lore here is actually deeply rooted in concepts like Neoplatonism and emanationism.
Whoa, okay. Break that down a bit.
Emanationism is basically the idea that reality is formed by continuous outflowings, or emanations from a single higher source, like ripples from a stone dropped in a pond, but for existence itself.
So the implication is?
The implication is profound. The digital world in Adventure isn't just a simulation or a copy. It's potentially a higher, more abstract, maybe even more fundamental plane of existence than our own physical reality.
So it's not just inside the computer, it's somewhere else entirely, maybe even above us.
That's the framing, yeah. It makes the whole saga feel like high fantasy. The kids aren't just exploring cyberspace, they're pilgrims in a higher, more symbolic realm.
Okay, so for you listening, the adventure digital world is maybe more real or spiritually deeper than the human world? Got it, that's a lot.
It is. Now let's contrast that completely with the origins you find in the V-Pet and Digimon World game canon. This one is the complete opposite. Pure, literal digital origin.
Right, the actual digital start, wires and code.
Exactly. This version meticulously traces the digital world's genesis back to the literal activation of early human computing technology. We're talking specific real-world machines from the 1940s, like the Tanasoff Berry computer, the ABC and ENIAC.
Wow, they name-drop actual historical computers.
They do. And in this version, the world's growth, its geography, its continents and oceans, its data capacity, it all grew in direct proportion to the expansion of Earth's communication networks. As our internet grew, their world literally got bigger.
That's a much cleaner, more technical origin. The world exists because we built the network. Simple cause and effect.
Makes sense, right? Then you have the Tamers continuity. This one shifts again towards grounded, almost ethical science fiction. Here, the creation story is all about responsibility and consequences.
So not primordial suit or old computers. Where did their world come from?
It was explicitly created back in the 1980s by a group of university programmers. They called themselves the Wild Bunch.
The Wild Bunch. Okay, that definitely evokes the 80s hacker scene.
Right. Their goal was super ambitious.
Yeah?
They wanted to develop true artificial life. And, well, they succeeded, maybe too well.
Ah, the classic sci-fi trope.
Pretty much. The artificial life they created, the Digimon, quickly grew beyond their control. They developed sentience, started building their own layers or metaverses within the network. This origin story perfectly sets the stage for the core themes of Tamers. Ethical creation, the burden of responsibility, the consequences of, playing God with technology.
Yeah, that makes the conflict in Tamers feel really personal. The kids aren't just fighting monsters, they're dealing with the direct fallout of human ambition and maybe arrogance.
Exactly. And finally, the fourth major origin. The Digimon Survive continuity. This one really throws a curveball.
How so? What makes Survive so different?
It almost completely ditches the digital concept, at least initially. The parallel world the characters find themselves in isn't presented as a network space. It's an ancient, almost feudal realm inhabited by beings called Kemonogami.
Kemonogami? Beast gods.
Literally. In this reality, the Digimon are interpreted first as ancient spirits, like yokai or deities from Japanese folklore, nature spirits tied to human belief. The whole digital monster identity, the idea of them being data, that's presented as something that was retrofitted onto them much later, influenced by modern human beliefs spreading across the internet.
So in Survive, the spiritual or mythological realm came first, and the digital aspect is layered on top later by human perception.
That's the implication. It flips the whole script. The digital isn't the origin, it's an interpretation.
Okay, wow. High fantasy emergence, pure tech creation, ethical sci-fi experiment, and ancient spiritual realm. 4 totally different foundations.
So now that we have these worlds, who's in charge? These aren't just running wild, right? There are administrators, godlike figures.
So yes, there are definitely higher powers pulling the strings, or at least trying to maintain the systems. And the most prominent, certainly the most recurring and often controversial god figure is Yggdrasil, also known as Kingdrasil.
Yggdrasil, like the world tree from Norse mythology.
Precisely. Yggdrasil functions as the supreme host computer, the ultimate administrator managing at least one primary server that governs a huge chunk of the digital world across various continuities.
And its primary directive is stability, order.
System stability, yes, but almost to a terrifying fault. Its core function is pure system preservation. Over time, it seems to have evolved this profound self-defense instinct that operates on cold, calculating logic, completely divorced from what we'd consider conventional morality or ethics.
And that cold logic leads directly to its most infamous and lore-central act of system management, Project Arc.
Okay, let's unpack Project Arc. This is a crucial lore, right? Mostly from the Chronicle manga and the X Evolution movie. What triggered such a drastic measure?
The core problem was essentially data overload. The Digimon population grew exponentially, replicating, evolving. The sheer volume of data started pushing against the system's hard capacity limits. This triggered a state known as the digital hazard.
Digital hazard? Sounds bad.
Very bad. It threatened a total system collapse, a catastrophic failure across the entire network. Yggdrasil, assessing the situation with its pure machine logic, initiated Project Arc as an act of, well, brutal triage. It prioritized the survival of the system itself above the lives of its inhabitants.
And the triage involved, don't tell me.
It released the X program.
Which did what?
It was a lethal virus, specifically designed to delete approximately 98% of all Digimon currently existing in the digital world.
98%, that's genocide, committed by the system's own god computer.
Calculated, systematic, digital genocide. Executed by a program initially designed for benevolent administration. It's machine logic taken to its absolute horrifying extreme.
Why deletion, though? Why not try something less? final, like creating more space or limiting resources?
From Yggdrasil's perspective, those options likely introduced unacceptable variables, risks of instability. Deletion was the cleanest, most absolute way to guarantee the system's continuation. To save the whole, it sacrificed the vast majority of the parts. And for the survivors, the remaining 2%,
Yeah.
it created a refuge, a new digital world. But even this wasn't just a backup server. It was structured thematically into 3 distinct time layers, drawing again from Norse mythology. Ulud, representing the past, Versandi, the present, and Skuld, the future.
So it didn't just delete most life, it tried to structure the time of the survivors. That really doubles down on its obsession with absolute control.
Exactly. Control and stability above all else. But Yggdrasil isn't the only god program in the machine. There's a direct dramatic contrast. Homeostasis.
Homeostasis. The name implies balance, equilibrium.
And that's precisely its function. Homeostasis is presented as a formless, sentient digital entity, maybe an emergent property, maybe a deliberately coded countermeasure. Its entire focus is on maintaining balance and harmony, specifically between the digital world and the human world.
So it's the counterweight to Yggdrasil's potentially tyrannical stability.
You could see it that way. Some lore suggests it was created or emerged specifically as a successor or a counter-program to prevent entities like a berserk Yggdrasil from causing irreparable harm or total stagnation.
And its methods are different. It doesn't just issue commands.
Very different. Crucially, homeostasis seems to rely on, or at least partner with, flawed emotional beings, specifically human children, to enact its will.
The DigiDestined. Why children? Why humans?
That's the fascinating part. Humans, especially children, represent everything Yggdrasil's logic tries to eliminate. Emotional instability, unpredictability, potential for error, but also, crucially, unlimited potential for growth and change. Homeostasis seems to deliberately introduce this human element, this emotional volatility into the system.
How does it interact with them?
It selected the original DigiDestined, likely guided the creation or distribution of the Digivices and crests, and often communicates indirectly. Sometimes it temporarily possesses a compatible host to deliver messages or warnings, most famously, Kari Kamiya in Adventure.
So it's deliberately using human emotion and potential as a balancing force against Yggdrasil's cold, perfect logic.
That seems to be the core dynamic. The entire DigiDestined saga, especially in Adventure, can be read as being driven by this underlying cosmic conflict. Yggdrasil's ruthless drive for stable, predictable order versus homeostasis's need for a dynamic, sometimes messy, symbiotic balance maintained through human partnership.
Wow. Okay, so we have these 2 opposing god programs. What about below them? Are there other major powers?
Definitely. There's a layer of localized governance, figures who maintain order within specific regions or functions. The most prominent group here are the 4 holy beasts, or the Digimon sovereigns.
Right, I remember them. Zukiamon, Kinglongmon, Baihuman, Shanwomon, the big guardians. But their power level seems to fluctuate a lot between series.
It really does. They're always depicted as powerful, mega-level Digimon, guardians of the cardinal directions, upholding fundamental order. But their actual influence varies wildly. In Tamers, for instance, they were shown to be incredibly powerful, capable of creating the highest, most secure layers of their digital world.
But in Adventure?
In Adventure 02 specifically, they were powerful, yes. But the Dark Master's Apocalymon's lieutenants were strong enough to defeat and seal them away. It shows how their cosmological rank flexes depending on the needs and scale of that particular universe's story. They're fundamental forces, but not always the top forces below the god programs.
Got it. So below the gods and the guardians, we get into the major factions, the big players who enforce or challenge that order. Let's start with maybe the most iconic group, the Royal Knights.
Ah, yes. The 13 ultimate level, or mega level, depending on translation, Holy Knight Digimon. They generally serve as Yggdrasil's elite personal guard. Think of them as the highest level of network security, embodying digital justice and order.
13 Holy Knights serving the god computer. Sounds straightforward.
Except it's not. This is crucial. The Royal Knights are not a monolith. They don't just march in lockstep, blindly following orders.
Oh, internal drama.
Constantly. Each knight adheres to their own distinct code of justice. Some prioritize Yggdrasil's stability commands above all else. Others, like Omnimon or Gallantmon, develop their own sense of morality, valuing life, or questioning orders they deem unjust. This internal conflict is a huge driver of plot, especially in things like the X-antibody sagas, where some knights openly rebel against Yggdrasil.
So their loyalty is to justice, but they might disagree with Yggdrasil on what justice actually means in a given situation.
Precisely. It makes them far more interesting than just mindless enforcers. And then there's the whole concept of the empty seat.
Right, Alphamon. What's his deal? He's like the secret 14th knight, or...
Sort of. Alphamon holds the empty seat, a position usually unoccupied. He rarely appears, but when he does, his power is immense, often depicted as rivaling or even exceeding Omnimon's. His conceptual role is fascinating. He exists as the ultimate deterrent force against the other 12 royal knights.
A check and balance within the elite guard.
Exactly. He's the fail-safe Yggdrasil built in case its own royal knights ever went rogue or became a threat to the system themselves. He is the ultimate internal affairs officer, you could say.
That's layered. And you mentioned Imperial Dramon Paladin mode earlier.
Right. Important footnote. While not one of the 13, Imperial Dramon Paladin mode is often considered the conceptual founder of the Royal Knights. Lore suggests he saved the ancient digital world from a massive crisis long before the formal group of 13 was established by Yggdrasil. He represents the origin point of that Holy Knight ideal.
Okay, so if the Royal Knights represent order, even if it's conflicted order, then their natural cosmic opposites must be...
The 7 great demon lords.
The big bads.
The biggest bads, really. This is a cabal, a loose alliance of the most powerful demon lord type Digimon. They're the supreme rulers of the dark area, the digital world's underworld, basically.
And they're themed, right?
Very explicitly. Each of the 7 great demon lords represents one of the 7 deadly sins from classical Christian theology. Lusmon Falldown mode embodies pride, Belphemon Rage mode is sloth, Livimon is envy, Daemon is wrath, Barbamon is greed, Beelzemon is gluttony, and Lithimon is lust.
So they're not just powerful monsters, they're conceptual embodiments of sin and chaos.
Exactly. They are the recurring antithesis to the order-driven royal knights and the stability sought by Yggdrasil. They represent the necessary shadow cast by all that divine light and structured data.
Okay, that landscape makes sense now. We have the multiple origins, the god programs Yggdrasil and homeostasis in conflict, the holy beasts as guardians, and the royal knights and demon lords as the primary forces of order and chaos. That's solid mythological foundation.
It is. And with that established, now we can finally dive into the most detailed and revisited timeline, the main chronicle of the adventure universe. This one spans a surprisingly long time, from the mid-90s right up to a definitive future epilogue.
All right. Where does the adventure clock actually start? You said not the summer camp.
Correct. The true starting point, the first documented major contact event, happens in 1995. It's the Heightened View Terrace incident.
Ah, the flashback. Where very young Tai and Tarikamiya see that massive Greymon fighting a Parrotmon in the sky above their apartment building in Tokyo.
Exactly. That bizarre, reality-breaking battle wasn't just a random monster fight, it was the crucible. It confirmed the link between worlds, and the immense stress it put on the dimensional barrier effectively marked those specific children who witnessed it.
Marked them for what?
Marked them as potential candidates for homeostasis, the balancing program we talked about. They were flagged as individuals who had perceived the connection early.
But wait, there was that movie, '02? The Beginning, didn't that reveal something even earlier? Something about the origin of the whole DigiDestined system itself?
Ah, yes, that as a crucial, slightly tragic layer. The true genesis of the DigiDestined system, according to that film, wasn't homeostasis just deciding to recruit kids. It actually happened in 1996.
A year after Heightened View Terrace.
Yes. We meet a young boy named Louis Owada. He's lonely, having a rough time, and he encounters a unique Digimon partner named Ukomon. And Ukomon has a very specific, very dangerous power. It grants wishes.
Oh boy. Wishes never end well in these stories.
Rarely. Louis, in his loneliness, makes a seemingly innocent wish. He wishes for everyone in the world to have a friend, a partner like Ukomon.
And Ukomon granted it.
It appears so. That single heartfelt wish inadvertently triggered the complex chain reaction, the programming cascade, that created the entire DigiDestined system, the Digivices, the potential for partnership on a global scale, all designed to fulfill Louis' desire for connection.
So the whole system, Ty's adventure, the crests, everything, it's all fundamentally rooted in one lonely kid's wish from 1996.
That's the retcon, yes. It places Louis' personal tragedy right at the foundation of the entire saga. Homeostasis didn't create the system from scratch. It likely found and activated this wishborn system when the time was right.
Okay, that adds a lot of weight. So fast forward to August 1999. This is a classic start. Summer camp.
Right. Homeostasis activates the system for the chosen children. The 7 original kids, Ty, Matt, Sora, Izzy, Mimi, Joe, TK, are pulled into the digital world via their digivices during that freak blizzard at camp.
And the adventure begins immediately. First, major villain, Devimon on File Island.
Yep, and that arc ends with Angemon, TK's partner, Patamon's champion form, sacrificing himself to defeat Devimon. A really heavy moment early on, establishing the life-or-death stakes and the theme of sacrifice.
Then they move on to the server continent, searching for the crests.
This is where we get that crucial character arc for Ty. He finds his crest of courage, but he misunderstands it. He thinks courage means pushing forward recklessly, forcing Agumon to digivolve faster, stronger.
Which leads to
Skullgreymon, a disastrous, uncontrollable dark digivolution. It's a powerful lesson for Ty. He has to learn that true courage isn't recklessness, it's facing fear, protecting others, and understanding the responsibility that comes with power. That realization is key to unlocking Wargreymon later.
Okay, makes sense. After they defeat Adamon, the next big threat arrives, and this time it comes to our world.
Myotismon's invasion of Tokyo. Myotismon crosses over specifically to find and eliminate the prophesied 8th DigiDestined child before they can awaken.
And the dramatic reveal is?
It's Ty's little sister, Kari Kamiya. And her partner turns out to be Gatomon, who had been unknowingly serving as one of Myotismon's lieutenants, having lost her memories.
And the key to defeating Myotismon involves another sacrifice.
Wizardmon, Gatomon's only true friend, who sacrifices himself to save Kari and Gatomon from Myotismon's attack. His death is the trigger. It unlocks Kari's crest of light and allows Gatomon to digivolve into her ultimate form, Angewoman.
Angewoman, the counterpart to Angemon, light and hope.
Exactly. According to the prophecy, it's the combined power of Angemon and Angewoman and arrows of light and hope that enable Ty and Matt's partners to finally reach their mega forms for the first time, Wargreymon and Metalgaromon.
Who then take down Myotismon's powered-up form, Venom Myotismon, big victory. But when they return to the digital world,
it's gone horribly wrong. While they were fighting Myotismon in Tokyo, the Dark Masters conquered the entire digital world.
the 4 mega-level villains, Metal Seedramon, Puppetmon, Machinedramon, Piedmon.
Yep. They warped reality itself, reshaping the world into the twisted spiral mountain. And crucially, they managed to defeat and seal away the 4 holy beasts, the guardian Digimon we mentioned earlier, plunging the world into chaos.
So the kids have to fight their way up Spiral Mountain, taking down each Dark Master one by one, until the final boss appears.
Apocalypse.
Who or what is Apocalypse? He seems different from the others.
He is very different. Apocalypse isn't just another powerful Digimon with a bad attitude. He's presented as a being of pure despair and nihilism, a conceptual entity.
Conceptual.
He claims to be born from the discarded data, the accumulated resentment, and the sadness of all Digimon that ever failed to digivolve, that were deleted or died throughout the digital world's history. He is essentially the embodiment of digital entropy and failure made manifest, the bitterness of evolution itself.
That's heavy. How do you even fight something like that?
Not just with power. The climax comes when the children realize the true meaning of their crests. The power wasn't in the physical tags and crests they carried. Those were just symbols, focal points. The real power, the courage, friendship, love, knowledge, sincerity, reliability, hope, and light was always within them.
Your own virtues.
Exactly.
Why?
By realizing and embracing their own inherent qualities, they sever Apocalypse's connection to despair and essentially delete his conceptual foundation. They overcome nihilism with genuine human connection and virtue.
Wow. Okay, adventure ends on a high note. But the story doesn't stop there. Just a few months later, in March 2000, we get the movie Our War Game.
Which is a huge event. This is the first time a digital threat becomes a truly global crisis, witnessed by potentially millions in real time.
Right. Diboromon, a computer virus Digimon that hatches online, goes on a rampage, hacks the Pentagon, and launches a nuclear missile at Tokyo. Standard Tuesday.
Pretty much. The scale is immense. Ty and Izzy are trying to fight it online. Matt gets involved. The clock is ticking down on the missile.
And the solution is one of the most iconic moments in the entire franchise.
Absolutely. Wargreymon and Metalgaromon are being overwhelmed by DIGIMON multiplying. But then the sheer will, the hope, the combined consciousness of Ty and Matt, amplified by the support of literally thousands of kids, emailing them encouragement from around the world who are watching the battle online.
It fuels something new.
It fuels the very first Jagras evolution, or DNA digivolution, in the adventure continuity. Wargreymon and Metalgaromon fuse together to become Omnimon, or Omegamon, depending on your region.
The ultimate royal knight makes his debut.
And just in time, Omnimon, embodying the combined will and hopes of everyone watching, manages to delete Diabromon just seconds before the nuclear missile hits its target. It's a powerful statement about the strengths found in global connection and shared hope.
Okay, that's a massive peak for the original cast, which naturally leads us to the next generation, right? Adventure 02, starting in 2002.
Exactly. 3 years later, we get a new core team. Davis Motomiya, Yolei Inoue, and Cody Hida. They join a now slightly older TK and Kari.
And they have new Digivices, the D3s, and a new evolution method.
Primarily, yes. The first major arc revolves around the mysterious Digimon Emperor, who is conquering parts of the digital world using dark rings to enslave Digimon and, crucially, control spires. These spires emit a frequency that prevents most normal digivolution.
So the new kids can't just digivolve normally.
Not easily near the spires. That's why they rely heavily on armor digivolution, using the Digi-Egg's ancient artifacts tied to the power of the crests, which allows their partners like Vmon, Hawkmon, and Armadillomon to bypass the control spire interference.
And the Digimon Emperor turns out to be
Kenny Jichijoji, a human child, a genius, who was manipulated and corrupted by a dark spore he encountered years earlier after his brother died. His story is central to the first half of ZO2. It's a deep dive into grief, guilt, and manipulation.
It's a redemption arc, right?
A powerful one. The turning point is when his own partner, Worman, who genuinely loves Ken despite his cruelty as the Emperor, sacrifices his life energy to power up Davis's Vmon.
How does that help?
Worman's sacrifice allows Davis to use the Golden Digi-Egg of Miracles, enabling Vmon to armor Digivolve into Magnamon. Magnamon then destroys Ken's ultimate creation, the monstrous Chimera Digimon Chimeramon. Witnessing Worman's loyalty and sacrifice finally shatters Ken's Emperor persona, starting him on the path to redemption and eventually joining the team.
Okay, so Ken is redeemed. But the threats don't stop. The villains get older, more human.
Yes, the next major threat involves adults with sinister motives. Rukenemon and Mummymon, who are secretly working for a hidden mastermind. This part of the saga introduces DNA digivolution, or Jogris, as a standard tool for the O2 team, allowing partners like XVmon and Stingmon, Worman's champion form now that he's reborn, to fuse into Paledramon.
And Urukenemon creates Blackbird Greymon?
She does, using data from multiple control spires. But Blackbird Greymon is fascinating. He's not just a mindless brute. He's born with a consciousness, a soul, and immediately begins questioning his own existence. Why was he created? Does he have a purpose beyond destruction? He becomes this tragic, philosophical antagonist searching for meaning.
While the real mastermind is pulling strings in the background.
Right. The true villain is revealed to be Yukio Oikawa, a human scientist who was close friends with Kari and TK's parents and Ken's father. Years ago, Oikawa was grieving the loss of his own Digimon partner and was possessed by the lingering data, the vengeful spirit of Myotismon.
Myotismon again, he just won't stay deleted.
Pretty much. Oikawa, driven by Myotismon's influence and his own desire to reach the digital world, starts implanting those dark spores, like the one that infected Ken, into vulnerable children around the world, hoping to harvest their dark energy to tear open a permanent gate.
That's dark. How do they stop that?
The climax involves the O2 team, now including Ken, working together with DigiDestined from all over the world, the international kids we briefly saw in Adventure. They channel their collective hope, light, and dreams into Imperial Dramon, Paeldramon's megaform.
And that power.
It purifies the darkness, defeats the fully manifested Malomyotismon, Myotismon's ultimate megaform, and Oikawa, freed from possession in his final moments, uses the last of his energy to restore balance to the digital world, sacrificing himself.
A complex ending. But wait, didn't Diabromon come back again after all that?
He did. Persistent virus. In 2003, in the movie Revenge of Diabromon, his data somehow recoalesces and gathers, forming a new, even more monstrous, super ultimate level Digimon called Armageddon in Tokyo Bay.
Super ultimate. That sounds bad even for Omnimon.
It is. Omnimon fights Armageddon but is overwhelmed. In a desperate move, realizing he alone can't win, Omnimon transfers all of his remaining power, his very essence, into Imperial Dramon fighter mode.
The Fusion Warrior gives his power to the Dragon Warrior.
Exactly. This unprecedented power transfer causes Imperial Dramon fighter mode to mode change into his legendary Paladin mode. This form, often considered the ancient founder of the Royal Knights, wields the Omnisword, essentially Omnimon's essence forged into a blade, and finally, definitively, eradicates the Diabromon threat from existence.
Okay, now the original saga feels wrapped up. But then things get complicated again. We jump forward a few years to 2005, the start of the Digimon Adventure Tri series.
Right. Tri picks up with the original 8 DigiDestined, now in high school. Kai is 17. The tone shifts significantly. It's much more focused on the anxieties of adolescence, drifting friendships, the weight of responsibility, and it introduces a much darker, more existential threat.
This is where the infection storyline begins, right? And Meikumon.
Precisely. A mysterious infection starts spreading through the digital world, causing Digimon to become corrupted and violent, even affecting the partners. A new DigiDestined, Meiko Mochizuki, appears with her unique partner, Meikumon, who seems to be connected to the infection and is targeted by powerful entities, including the Royal Knight Alphamon making his adventure continuity debut.
So the Royal Knights are involved now, and things get pretty dire, leading to that reboot ultimatum.
Extremely dire. The infection spreads uncontrollably. Homeostasis, the balancing entity, determines that corruption is too deep, threatening both worlds. It possesses Kari, just like in the past, and delivers a devastating ultimatum. A total reboot of the digital world is the only way to stop the infection.
Wiping everything clean, including the Digimon's memories of their partners.
Everything. Years of ventures, bonds, shared history gone. It's a brutal choice, and the emotional core of Tri is the kids grappling with the potential loss of their partner's very identities.
And there's a human element pushing for this reboot too, right? Maki Himekawa.
Yes, another layer of tragedy. Maki Himekawa, a government agent working with the kids, is revealed to be part of an earlier, previously unknown group of DigiDestined from before Tai's generation. Her original partners sacrificed themselves long ago, and in doing so, became the Four Holy Beasts.
Whoa, the Guardians were originally someone's partners.
According to Tri, yes. Maki has been secretly manipulating events, even helping the infection spread, hoping the reboot would reset the Holy Beasts back to their original rookie forms, specifically her partner Tappermon, so she could be reunited with him. Her immense personal grief was weaponized to force a system-wide catastrophe.
That's incredibly messed up. Does the reader even work as intended?
Not exactly. The reboot happens, the partners lose their memories. Temporarily, they regain them later. But Mikumon, the source or carrier of the infection, somehow retains her memories through the process. Driven mad by grief, loss, and her own corrupted data, she forcibly fuses with a darkened Gatomon, who gets corrupted after the reboot, to become Ordinum.
Ornament sounds bad.
Apocalyptic level bad. A god-level Digimon representing pure chaos and destruction, born from corrupted hope and light. Ordinum starts absorbing the real world, threatening total annihilation. Homeostasis, seeing this, prepares its final nuclear option, a complete digital shutdown of the human world to contain Ordinum, even if it means sacrificing humanity's infrastructure.
So the kids have to stop Ornament to save both worlds and prevent homeostasis from basically hitting the off switch on human civilization.
Exactly. They managed to defeat Ordinum largely through Omnimon Merciful Mode and the power of connection. Yggdrasil, who was also manipulating events behind the scenes using Maki and Mikumon, is temporarily shut down. The O2 cast, who were revealed to have been captured and held in stasis early on, are finally rescued. Tri ends with the immediate crisis averted, but the relationships are strained, and the cost has been immense.
It sounds emotionally exhausting, and that sets the stage for what might be the most emotionally devastating part of the entire adventure timeline. 2010, the movie Last Evolution Kizuna.
Yeah. Kizuna hits different. 5 years after Tri, the original kids are now young adults, mostly in university, figuring out their futures. The film completely shifts the stakes away from world-ending threats and focuses squarely on the personal, inevitable consequence of growing up.
This is where they introduce the idea that the partnership runs out.
Exactly. It delivers the franchise's most heartbreaking thematic truth bombs. The bond between a human and their Digimon partner is revealed to be finite. It's powered by the limitless potential of childhood. As you grow up, choose a career, define your path in life, that boundless potential naturally narrows.
And that narrowing weakens the bond.
It does. And worse, the very act of fighting, of making your partner digivolve and draw on that potential, accelerates the countdown to the moment the bond breaks completely and the partner disappears.
Oh my God. So every single battle they ever fought potentially shortened their time together?
That's the implication. It reframes the entire history of the series in this tragic light. The plot involves a new antagonist, Manoa Bellucci, who is trying to steal DigiDestined consciousnesses to prevent this separation, creating digital Eosmon to capture them. Tai and Matt discover their own countdowns are almost at zero.
So they face an impossible choice. fight Eosmon to save everyone else, knowing that the battle itself will be the very thing that ends their partnership with Agumon and Gabumon forever.
That's the gut-wrenching core of the film. They choose to fight. Their final, ultimate resolve, knowing the cost, unlocks new, final forms. The bond of courage for Agumon and the bond of friendship for Gabumon.
Forms powered by the acceptance of the end.
Pretty much. They defeat Eosmon, save the captured kids, but the fight exhausts the last dregs of their time. The film ends with a quiet, heartbreaking, definitive farewell. Agumon and Gabumon simply fade away as Ty and Matt watch, powerless. Their digivices turn to stone. The partnership is over.
Man, that's rough. Is that really the end for them?
It's the end of their childhood partnership. But there's one more piece connecting Kizuna and the future. The O2 movie, The Beginning, takes place in 2012. It brings back Louis Owada and Ukumon, the originators of the system from 1996.
Right, the Wish Kid.
The climax involves confronting the giant, reality-warping Ukumon, born from Louis's wish, and ultimately Louis choosing to let go of that wish. This act seems to finalize something. Digivices around the world disappear or turn to stone, suggesting the era defined by those devices, powered by childhood potential, has truly ended. The bond has evolved beyond needing that physical manifestation.
So Kizuna was the emotional end of the adventure era, and the beginning was the systemic end. But there is a future, right? The O2 epilogue.
Yes. Despite the heartbreak of Kizuna, the definitive canonical endpoint for the adventure continuity remains that original epilogue shown at the end of O2, set around 2028.
25 years after O2, what does that future look like?
It's hopeful. The portal between the worlds is permanently open. Digimon and humans coexist peacefully, integrated into society. And crucially, the original DigiDestined are shown as successful adults with careers. Tai is a diplomat working with the digital world. Matt's an astronaut with Gabumon. Sora is a fashion designer. Izzy's researching the digital world, etc. And they all have their partners back, along with children who also have partners.
So the separation in Kizuna wasn't permanent.
Apparently not. The epilogue confirms that the painful goodbyes, the end of the childhood bond, were temporary phases. They paved the way for a new kind of relationship, an adult partnership, leading to that peaceful, integrated future. It provides the ultimate hopeful resolution to the adventure saga.
Okay, that is one incredibly detailed continuity spanning over 30 years of lore. Whew. But like we established up front, that's just one thread in the tapestry. We need to give proper time to the other major independent universes. Let's switch gears completely and go to the Tamers universe.
Right. Tamers, the grounded sci-fi ethical creation story. Totally different feel from adventure.
We already talked about its origin with the Wild Bunch in the 80s. What defines Tamers in terms of its mechanics and conflict?
Tamers is all about responsibility and the blurring line between fiction and reality. The core mechanic is bioemergence Digimon physically manifesting in the real world. And the ultimate power-up isn't just evolution, it's biomerge digivolution.
Biomerge.
The Tamer literally fuses their physical body with their partner Digimon to achieve the mega level. Takato merges with Gilmon to become Gallantmon, Rika merges with Renamon to become Sakuyamon, Henry merges with Terriermon to become Mega Gargamon. It's a very intimate physical manifestation of their bond.
That's intense. And the main villain isn't a Digimon Emperor or Demon Lord, right? It's something weirder.
Oh yeah. The ultimate antagonist in Tamers is the D-Reaper, and it's pure existential digital horror.
What is the D-Reaper?
It wasn't originally evil or even sentient. It was a primordial data erasure program created way back in the earliest days of the network, probably in the 70s or even earlier. Its only function was to delete junk data that exceeded certain parameters to keep the network clean.
A cleanup program. How did that become the final boss?
It evolved. It grew far beyond its original simple programming. And then, crucially, it encountered and was somehow empowered, maybe even given form and agency by intense negative human emotion. Specifically, the overwhelming grief of one of the Tamers, Jerry Kato, after her partner Leonon was brutally killed right in front of her by Bilzamon.
Wait, Jerry's grief fueled the Apocalypse program.
That's the implication. The D-Reaper became this monstrous, ever-expanding, chaotic entity that physically manifested in the real world, threatening to delight everything. It was like a sentient plague fueled by human sadness and trauma.
So if the adventure climax was about defeating nihilism with virtue, the Tamers climax was about defeating weaponized grief.
That's a great way to put it. It was an existential emotional threat. And they couldn't just punch it into submission. The solution involved using a counter program, the Juggernaut, or Shagai program, designed by the Wild Bunch to reverse the D-Reaper, basically forcing it back into its original dormant code state.
But there was a cost, right?
A huge one. The side effect of the Juggernaut program was that it destabilized the bioemergence process. It forced all the Tamers' partners, who had become physically real, to return to the digital world to avoid deletion themselves. The ending is famously bittersweet, with the kids having saved the world but forced into a tearful, painful separation from their beloved partners.
Man, Digimon really loves those bittersweet goodbyes. Okay, moving on from grounded sci-fi horror to high fantasy, let's talk about the Frontier universe.
Frontier is unique. Completely different mechanic. Here, the chosen children do not have partners.
No partners at all. How do they fight?
They spirit evolve. They use ancient artifacts called the legendary spirits, 10 core spirits that split into 20 human and beast forms, to transform their own human bodies into legendary warrior Digimon. The Kuya becomes Agunamon and Burning Greymon, Koji becomes Lobomon and Kemonogoramon, and so on.
So they become the Digimon themselves. That's a big shift.
Huge. And the mythology underpinning it is central. The backstory involves an ancient conflict known as the Human-Beast War between human-type and beast-type Digimon. This war was ended, but also exploited, by the angel Digimon Lucemon.
Lucemon, the demon lord of pride.
Yep, this is his origin story in this universe. He brought peace, but then became a tyrant. He was eventually defeated by 10 ancient heroes known as the Warrior 10.
And the Warrior 10.
They couldn't destroy Lucemon completely, only seal him away. And in doing so, they sacrificed themselves, leaving behind their power in the form of those 20 legendary spirits, one human and one beast spirit for each of the 10 elements: fire, light, ice, wind, thunder, earth, wood, water, metal, darkness.
So the kids are literally wielding the legacy of these ancient heroes.
Exactly. The main plot kicks off when Lucemon's lingering influence manages to corrupt one of the 3 celestial Digimon ruling the world after him, Cherubimon. Cherubimon turns evil, starts a new war, and it's his actions, or Lucemon's influence through him, that summon the human children to the digital world via messages on their cell phones.
And the final battle involves bringing all those spirits together.
It does. After defeating the corrupted Cherubimon and Lucemon's other servants, the Royal Knights Dynesmon and Crusadermon, interestingly serving Lucemon here, the kids have to face the resurrected Lucemon himself. To defeat his ultimate forms, they need to unite the power of all 20 legendary spirits, combining the 10 elements wielded by the 5 main kids, plus the 5 reclaimed for the villains, to form the ultimate composite warrior, Susanoo.
Susanoo, named after the Shinto storm god.
Right. And Susanoo manages to defeat Lucemon's most powerful forms. But even then, Lucemon's core essence, his larva form representing pure malice, remains. It takes a final combined effort from all the kids, channeling the spirits, to finally purify and destroy Lucemon's darkness entirely. It's pure high fantasy myth made digital.
Okay, totally different flavor again. Now let's tackle the Savers Data Squad universe. This one felt more like a shonen action anime. Raw power, punching.
Absolutely. Savers, or Data Squad in the English dub, definitely leans into high-octane action. Its timeline really begins around 1996 in its own continuity, with a failed human exploration party venturing into the digital world.
What happened to them?
Most returned, but one member, Spencer Damon, chose to stay behind. He's the father of the main protagonist, Marcus Damon. Another member of that party, Akihiro Kurata, developed a deep-seated, almost genocidal hatred for all Digimon after a traumatic experience during that expedition.
Spencer Damon and Kurata, the key figures, and the evolution mechanic is different again here.
Yep. In Savers, Digivolution is explicitly powered by something called Digisoul, or DNA charge in the dub.
Yeah.
It's described as a raw manifestation of the Tamer's strongest emotions: determination, anger, passion. They generate this energy often through sheer willpower, sometimes even by physically punching things, and channel it through their Digivice to trigger evolution.
So Marcus Damon punching Digimon to make Agumon evolve, that's actually how it works in this universe.
That's literally the mechanic. It perfectly fits Marcus's hot-blooded punch first ask questions later personality. His raw determination is his power source.
Okay, that's pretty unique, and the conflict escalates quickly.
Very quickly. Kurata returns years later as a major antagonist, enacting his twisted genocide plan against Digimon. He creates artificial Digimon-human hybrids called biohybrids, revives the Demon Lord Belphemon Rage Mode, and his actions ultimately cause the barrier between the digital and human worlds to shatter, threatening a catastrophic merger that could destroy both realities.
That sounds like endgame level stakes. But the real final boss isn't Kurata, is it?
No. Kurata's defeat leads directly into the Royal Knight's arc. The dimensional collapse and Kurata's actions attract the attention of the digital world's god computer in this universe, Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil again, but this time it takes a familiar face.
It does. Yggdrasil manifests using the avatar, the stored data, of Spencer Damon, Marcus's missing father. And this Yggdrasil, deeming humanity too chaotic and dangerous after Kurata's rampage, makes a chilling judgment. The human world must be destroyed to ensure the digital world's stability. It orders its royal knights to commence the attack.
So Marcus has to fight the Royal Knights and a god computer wearing his father's face. Talk about drama.
Maximum drama. The climax is one of the most over-the-top and memorable in the franchise. Marcus, fueled by his unbreakable Digisoul and his bond with Agumon, now in Shine Greymon burst mode, confronts Yggdrasil directly. And he literally shatters Yggdrasil's physical manifestation, the Spencer Damon avatar, with a single, impossibly powerful punch.
Just punched God.
He punched the god computer's avatar into oblivion. This act, this raw display of human will and the power of the human-Digimon bond, seems to force Yggdrasil's core programming to, well, reconsider. Its logic couldn't process this outcome. It recognizes the potential validity of coexistence and retreats, calling off the destruction.
So Marcus saved the world by punching God so hard it had an existential crisis.
That is a surprisingly accurate summary of the Savior's finale, yes. Marcus then chooses to stay in the digital world with Agumon as a peacekeeper, bringing his own form of justice. It's the ultimate triumph of human passion over cold machine logic.
Unbelievable. Okay, one more major TV universe to cover, the X-Rose Wars Fusion universe. What's the gimmick here?
The core mechanic is Digifusion, or Digicloses in Japanese. Instead of evolution through levels, rookie, champion, etc., Digimon here can combine together like building blocks. The main character, Mikey Kudo, Taiki Kudo, can fuse multiple Digimon partners, primarily Shoutmon, Ballistamon, and Dorlumon, into various powerful combined forms like Shoutmon X3, X4, X5, and eventually the ultimate form, Shoutmon X7.
So it's like Digimon Voltron.
Our Lego. Kind of, yeah. It allows for a huge variety of combinations and tactical flexibility. The central conflict is presented as a massive, large-scale war. The digital world is divided into 108 zones, and the evil Bagra army, led by the powerful Lord Bagramon, is trying to conquer all of them by collecting the Code Crown fragments scattered across each zone.
A literal war story, and Babramon is the big bad.
He is, along with his brother Axe Knightmon, Dark Knightmon. They seek to remake the world in their image using the completed Code Crown. Mikey forms his own army, the Fusion Fighters, X-Ro's Heart, to oppose them, uniting Digimon from different zones.
And there was a sequel series too, right? The Young Hunters Who Leapt Through Time.
Yes. X-Rose Wars had a third arc, often treated as a sequel, The Young Hunters. This introduces a new protagonist, Tijiro Akashi, and takes place a year later. It introduces a mysterious, unstable dimension between the digital and human worlds called Digicourts, where kids hunt Digimon that has strayed there.
Hunting Digimon, that sounds different.
It is. The whole thing is orchestrated by a mysterious figure known only as the old clock store owner. This mysterious benefactor gives Tagiru and others the ability to hunt and capture Digimon in Digicourts.
And the twist is?
The old clock store owner is eventually revealed to be a weakened, repentant Lord Bagramon from the original X-Rose Wars, who survived his defeat. He created the Digimon Hunt as a way to gather energy and find strong hunters capable of dealing with a new, even greater threat he foresaw.
A threat worse than the Bagra army.
Yes. The final enemy of hunters is Quartzmon, a colossal, planet-absorbing Digimon born from residual data linkage between dimensions. And the finale of Hunters provides the most explicit, undeniable multiversal crossover in the entire franchise's history.
This is the big one, right? Where everyone shows up.
This is it. To fight Quartzmon, the old clock store owner uses his powers to summon legendary heroes from other universes. We see Tai and Omnomon from Adventure, Tokaido and Galantmon from Tamers, Takuya and Susanamon from Frontier, and Marcus and Shine Greymon from Savers, all appearing alongside Mikey in the X-Rose Wars, cast to battle Quartzmon together.
Wow, that's pure fan service gold, but also a definitive confirmation that all these separate timelines do exist concurrently within the larger Digimon multiverse.
Exactly. It was the ultimate acknowledgement of the franchise's own complex history.
Okay, we've covered the major anime continuities, but there's crucial lore, especially about Yggdrasil and the deeper mechanics. That comes from other sources, right? Like games and manga. We need to touch on the X-Antibody saga.
Absolutely. We mentioned Project Arc and the X program earlier, Yggdrasil's genocide plan from the adventure god logic. But the details and consequences are most deeply explored in the Digimon Chronicle manga storyline and the related Digimon X Evolution CG movie.
So this delves deeper into Yggdrasil's motives and the fallout.
Precisely. It shows the brutality of the X program deletion firsthand. But the crucial takeaway, the unexpected twist in Yggdrasil's plan, is the X antibody.
The adaptation.
Exactly. Some Digimon didn't just die from the X program, they adapted. Their digicores subconsciously developed an antibody to the lethal virus, rewriting their own data structure. This X antibody not only made them immune, but also unlocked powerful new evolutionary forms. The X antibody Digimon, like Wargreymon X, Metalgaremon X, Omnimon X.
So Yggdrasil's attempt to preserve the system by purging unstable data inadvertently created stronger, even more different data that it couldn't control.
The ultimate irony of cold machine logic versus chaotic life, yes. Life found a way. And Yggdrasil did not like this. It viewed the X-Antibody Digimon as bugs, anomalies that needed to be purged too.
Which leads to the conflict in X Evolution.
Right. The movie focuses on Doraemon, a small dragon Digimon who is a natural carrier of the X-Antibody, hunted by Yggdrasil's royal knights. Doraemon eventually evolves into his mega form, Alphamon.
The empty seat. The royal knight deterrent?
The very same. Alphamon's appearance is a direct challenge to Yggdrasil's authority. His existence proves the X-Antibody isn't just a bug, it's a valid form of evolution. Alphamon's rebellion, his inherent sense of justice, becomes central. He ultimately convinces Omnimon, who is initially one of Yggdrasil's most loyal enforcers hunting the X-Digimon, to question their god and defy the order to commit genocide against the X-Antibody survivors.
So the X-Antibody saga is fundamentally about challenging divine authority and the right to exist even when you're deemed an error by the system.
Perfectly put. It's a powerful story about justice versus programming, loyalty versus morality, played out among the god computer and its own elite guard.
Okay. And more recently, the Cyber Sleuth games brought some of these big cosmic ideas into a more modern, near-future setting, right?
They did. The Digimon story. Cyber Sleuth games are set in a near-future Tokyo, heavily reliant on a virtual reality network called Eden. The main plot revolves around a mysterious phenomenon called Eden syndrome, where people logged into Eden fall into unexplained comas in the real world.
And this is linked to the Eaters.
Exactly. The culprits are revealed to be strange, data-consuming entities native to the digital network itself, called Eaters. They attack users' mental data, their avatars, causing the comas.
Are they rogue Digimon alien programs? What are they?
That's the big mystery the player investigates. As you uncover conspiracies involving corporations and hackers, you also get interventions from the Royal Knights, who are trying to deal with the Eater threat in their own, often destructive ways. Eventually, you learn the truth about the Eater's origin.
Which is?
They aren't external invaders. Much like the D-Reaper in Tamers, the Eaters are revealed to be pure data manifestations of negative human emotion, right? Grief, despair, loneliness, resentment that have coalesced and gained a dangerous form of life within the deepest layers of the Eden network. They are essentially humanity's psychic waste given monstrous digital form.
So again, the digital world reflecting or manifesting the darkness within the human heart. That's a recurring theme.
A very strong one. The final confrontation in the first Cyber Sleuth involves battling a massive fusion of the original progenitor Eater, the Mother Eater, and Yggdrasil itself, Yggdrasil, which had become corrupted or merged with the Eater threat. Defeating it requires resetting the timeline to prevent the Eaters from ever gaining such power.
So the games reinforce that deep, often dangerous link between the human psyche and the stability of the digital realm, even involving Yggdrasil directly in that feedback loop.
Exactly. It brings those high-concept god battles right down into a relatable, modern conspiracy thriller setting.
Okay, we have traversed multiple universes, timelines, origins, gods, factions, movies, games.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But across all this incredible diversity, high fantasy, sci-fi, horror, war stories, there seem to be some core unifying threads that hold this massive tapestry together. Let's try and synthesize the big takeaways for everyone listening.
Absolutely. Despite the wildly different settings and mechanics, some themes resonate consistently. The first, and arguably the most important, is the symbiotic bond.
The human Digimon partnership.
It's everything. That deep, profound, sometimes joyful, sometimes painful relationship between a human child or tamer and their Digimon partner is almost universally portrayed as the ultimate source of power. It's the catalyst for personal growth, the physical manifestation of virtues like courage, friendship, love, hope. It transcends every universal boundary, every origin story, every conflict with gods or demons. That bond is the bedrock.
Makes sense. What's the second major thread?
I'd say it's the constant exploration of the nature of reality. The franchise never stops playing with and blurring the line between what we consider real and what is digital. It constantly forces you, the viewer or player, to ask philosophical questions about existence.
Can you give examples of that blurring?
We saw it clearly in the Adventure Universe's concept, the digital world as a potentially higher, more fundamental, almost spiritual plane. We saw the opposite extreme in Tamers, where a purely digital, non-sentient cleanup program, the D-Reaper, physically manifested as a terrifying city-destroying entity in the real world of Tokyo. The series constantly reflects our own evolving relationship with technology. Is the digital space just inert code? Or does it have the capacity for genuine life, soul, and real-world consequence? It never gives a simple answer.
Right, it keeps that question alive. And the third core theme.
Digivolution as metaphor? It's almost never just a cool power-up sequence for a fight, although it is that too.
It means more.
Fundamentally, Digivolution represents personal growth, maturation, the overcoming of internal flaws. A child's emotional state, their mastery of a virtue like courage or friendship, their ability to be honest or reliable. That's what unlocks the next stage, the next form. It externalizes internal development.
And Kizuna took that metaphor to its ultimate painful conclusion.
Exactly. By tying the ability to digivolve directly to the limitless potential of childhood, Kizuna made the metaphor explicit and heart-wrenching. Growing up, specializing, choosing a path, the very act of maturation leads to the narrowing of that potential, and thus the literal end of the digivolutionary bond as it existed in childhood. It symbolizes the inevitable losses that come with growing older, the shedding of certain possibilities.
So the bond, the nature of reality, and evolution as growth, those seem like solid pillars holding up the entire multiverse.
I think so. They provide the thematic consistency that allows the franchise to experiment so wildly with genre and plot while still feeling like Digimon.
This has been an absolutely massive deep dive. We've covered so much ground. Hopefully for you listening, this helps make sense of why Digimon isn't just one story, but this incredible collection of interconnected yet distinct realities. Its strength really lies in that flexibility. It can be high fantasy, grounded sci-fi, cosmic horror, a war epic, all exploring those core themes we just discussed.
And looking back across everything, from the Quantum Sea to Eden, from Devimon to Yggdrasil, that conflict right at the top between the god programs, it remains one of the most compelling and frankly chilling aspects of the entire lore.
Yggdrasil versus homeostasis, order versus balance, logic versus emotion.
Exactly. Think about it. You have Yggdrasil, this sentient system, potentially born from human technology, designed for pure, rational stability. Yet its ultimate logical conclusion, faced with imperfection or overload, is often mass deletion, genocide. Its pursuit of perfect order is terrifyingly cruel.
And then you have homeostasis, the counter-program, the force for balance and harmony between worlds. But its chosen method isn't perfect logic. It's reliance on flawed, unpredictable, emotionally driven human children. It deliberately introduces chaos and potential error into the system as a means of control.
Which leads us to the final provocative thought for you to chew on after this deep dive. If the digital world's own god computer resorts to systematic genocide in the name of stability, and its divine counter-program relies on the messy, unreliable hearts of human kids to maintain cosmic balance, which form of divine logic, which system administrator is ultimately the more unpredictable and perhaps the more terrifying force shaping the fate of the Digimon multiverse?